Well, welcome to the Home River Bioblitz training session online. We are very excited about the amount of people that are joining us today, and even more excited about the amount of people that are joining us on the 20th of September, when we're going to go out to our home rivers to assess the biodiversity that's around the rivers, ecosystems. This is an event that we started to organize actually with the River Collective, so I'm going to quickly introduce that a little bit. And then I'm going to give the word to Jens, who's going to talk a bit more about the event itself. And then we're very happy that Carlos is with us, because he's from National Geographic, and he's going to explain a lot about like what can you actually expect to find close to the river, which kind of species could you be looking at, and also he's going to dive into the use of iNaturalist so that we are quite prepared to use this app and that we can really collaborate on this worldwide instead of only on your home river. So just as a first question to all of you, because it's a lot of faces and a lot of people from really all parts of the world, if you can just use the chat box on the side to say your name and the river you're from and the country you're from, just so we have a bit of a feeling who's all there. Because if you've been looking at the map, you see that it's really a lot of dots all around, so we're very excited. Just a quick introduction of the River Collective. Like, it's a group of friends and kayakers and scientists, like a mix of everything that got together last year. Actually, we organized the first Students for Rivers camp. So it was a camp where we got students from all around Europe together to put our knowledge into action for river conservation. And it was a cool thing that it was really students from all different disciplines coming together to really brainstorm, okay, how can we contribute to river conservation? So we're kind of linking the worlds of science and river conservation together. And we were organizing a second camp this year, but then, as you know, like Corona happened and everything became a bit more difficult to do things in like on a place. We were going to go to Montenegro, where Semra lives, and where actually some really good news came in today. Semra, can you quickly repeat? Unmuting yourself.
Yes, so yesterday we have national elections in Montenegro, and after 30 years we managed to outvote the government that was pretty much dictatorship. So it's a good day for people and nature of Montenegro, hopefully.
Right. So yeah, we were quite excited about doing a BioBlitz in Montenegro during the Students for Rivers camp, but now we couldn't really go there with everyone we wanted to go. So this started to be a thing online, which made it actually suddenly possible to focus on home rivers. Jens is going to talk about that a little more, but just as a bit of a reference to this camp, so the Home River Bioblitz is one part of it, and we're organizing several more events, so a bit of an online like lecture session on river conservation in Montenegro, but we also have some workshops that are linking art and science, and we have a movie night, and we have a river experience, so all different parts. So if you're interested, you can have a look. I'll add the website to the chat in a bit. So welcome to join that as well. Yeah, so just a little bit like where we come from. The River Collective is a group that really tries to aim to bring people together that have the same value, and this value is for free-flowing rivers. So if you care about rivers and you do a study or you have a background in it, to bring all those people together. Ellie is sitting next to me also, just to get her on the screen. Hello. She's also part of the team. So yeah, I'm going to give the word now to Jens first. He's going to talk a bit more about the event and how we got to this event, and then also how linking his own master thesis to this event. Right, Jens.
Thank you, Vera. And thank you all for being here. We are really stoked about this activity. And the first mail I got from Chloe, and she was like, yeah, we got some BioBlitz now in Rwanda. I was like, wow, this is getting worldwide, and we were so excited about this. So to briefly explain you a bit how this all started, this is a grant we got from National Geographic. I'm also a National Geographic explorer, like some of you that are here and some of you that I know. And actually, this was for the Sava River in May. It was going to happen during the Balkan River Defense Tour, which may be, some of you know about it. It's basically a kayak tour around the Balkans to raise awareness about the river protection. and all the dam projects that are being built in the Balkan region, so to protect Balkan rivers against these dam projects. But COVID happened, we all know, and then it shifted to the last part of the year to Montenegro, because we, like Vera told you, we're gonna do the Students for River Camp, basically a river conservation camp in Montenegro, in the same brass country, but COVID happened again. So we were like, okay, what are we gonna do now? Like, we were a bit desesperated and a bit also exhausted because of moving or shifting all the time the activity. So we thought maybe do it online, maybe organize some bioblitzes between different friends, and then from then just scale up. Like, we started with this idea of Home River Bioblitz, everybody's at home, let's try to engage with our home local ecosystems, and then it exploded, and like you can see, many people really got excited, and well, here we are. Basically, the idea behind all of this is to not only get some data, because also it's important, we want to register biodiversity and understand like which species live at your home river or local river, but also about engagement, empowerment, and also raising awareness about river conservation all around the world. In that sense, a very big challenge here is like connecting all these different bioblitzes. And we believe that if this now really works well, we may repeat this the next year, and then the year after that year, and it may become an annual activity that may connect watersheds all around the world. So we are really stoked about the possibilities of this activity. And in that sense, I tell you again, like, thank you for being part of this. And we look forward also to see some pictures of the final activity at your own home rivers, and also understanding like how is nature at your home. In that sense, I want to tell you a bit also about like a little survey I'm working in, because it's my master thesis. I'm studying ecology in Munich right now. And for that, I will share briefly my, can you see this? Okay, cool.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So what's this survey about? It's basically my ecology research project for my master. And for that, I want to first state that I'm Chilean. I come from the Biobío watershed. That is my home river. That is a river I have a lot of attachment. I could say that I love this river with all my heart, and I am part of this territory. And in that sense, I'm also curious on understanding how people perceive their own local ecosystem and what we call their neighborhood. Not understanding neighbors only as other species, other humans, but also understanding neighbors as the tree that is behind your house, or the bird that is flying in front of your window, or all the other species that are all around you. And in that sense, my work is using this BioBlitz activity that's going to happen locally in different parts of the world. I want to share a survey with you where I'm trying to understand before and after the way that people perceive and also are attached to local ecosystems, and also see how the citizen science activities can improve this understanding and attachment. Because sometimes we tend to imagine nature as something very general, as something that is kind of green and out there, and many times outside our own localities. But for me, it's also important to understand this specific nature, this species that has a name. For example, this is also a photo of my home river, which I'm so proud of because it's beautiful. You can see that, it's a beautiful waterfall, Maya Maya, the Biobío River. And for example, this guy, this is a Correntino duck. Of course, I know it very well. I'm a kayaker, so I see it always in the river when I'm kayaking my river. But I have a really big attachment to this duck. And of course, during time, I have developed attachment to species, to these neighbors I'm talking about. So my aim during using this service that I will share with you before and after the BioBlitz is to understand how you yourselves and the participants perceive the river and the local ecosystem and species before and after. In that sense, I will have that survey ready in like 1 week or 2 weeks, and I will share it with you. And it would be nice if you can share this with the participants, so I can get also information of all the people that are participating. If for some reason you don't want to do this, it's also fine. It's only for research purposes and to understand also the impact of this kind of activity. So then I fairly ask you, like, it would be really nice if you can this activity. And this is now my home river, the Isa River, and this is where I'm going to do my own bio. So I thank you all. And also I mentioned now that this activity is deeply related with the iNaturalist application, which Carlos from National Geographic is going to explain us a bit more how to use, what we actually will need, like these polygons that he's going to explain how to get. And so we may better understand actually how can we document using these online applications the local biodiversity. So wait, I have to push this. That's it for now. I think, thank you again. And Carlos, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you so much, Vera. Thank you so much, Jens, for organizing, putting all this together. And of course, I wanna say thank you to National Geographic for supporting and making this happen. And it's really encouraging. I'm really happy to see almost more than 30 people gather from around the world. You know that you're not alone. We are not alone in trying to preserve our own biodiversity and to preserve our rivers. And yes, since we all gonna be leading and encouraging our communities to participate in this BioBlitz, I mean, I'm pretty sure you know what a BioBlitz is. I mean, it's just trying to find, to record and document and identify as many species as you can during a period of time. Usually it's like 24 hours, sometimes it's a little bit more, a little bit less. But then how can we actually record and put together all this information? And this is where iNaturalist came in. iNaturalist is this global platform that brings people together in terms of just connecting to nature. I'm sure that some of you, or pretty much all of, I hope that all of you already have like an iNaturalist account. And if you don't have iNaturalist account, don't worry, you still have time to do it. But then iNaturalist came like a few years ago, and it has become the leading web platform to document and to identify and to share biodiversity records. And this is where we came into how to use iNaturalist and why it's important to do this. And I'm trying to share, let me see if this works. I'm gonna try to share my screen, desktop one. I don't know. Let me see if you can see all this. Okay, I see some thumbs ups. Okay, so we're okay. For this, the River Bioblitz, I mean, if you think in terms of just a river, please don't. I mean, a river, it has a boundary with the land, and it has like pretty much a buffer zone. Please, when you are doing your BioBlitz, try to think of plants, animals, and everything in the river ecosystems. This will be very important to document. And I'm right now trying to share one of the main rivers that I have around my city, which is called Santa Catarina River. And this is just an example of how diverse can a river be. This river crosses my city, and I'm sure you're gonna have, some of you, you're gonna have like something similar. I live in the city of Monterey, and this is my city. As you can see here, the river comes out of the mountains, it goes straight to the city, and then it goes south. But what I wanted to show you is that on this particular river, even if it's really damaged, it's really polluted, it has been depleted of water at some points, we have nearly 3,000 observations on this river. And these 3,000 observations have more than 600 species already documented. And this has been done by nearly 200 people from across the city. This is just an example of how important it is to keep in mind that all these records, and I'm going to show you later on how you can influence your politicians and decision makers and how to protect and defend your very own rivers using this kind of information. So participating in this world initiative will make you part of a global community, and you can later on tell everyone at home that, okay, we are not alone on protecting our rivers. When you are participating on this BioBlitz, make sure you take pictures of everything that is living around it. Even if you find like a dead animal, a dead or a track or feathers from birds, everything counts for iNaturalist. And this is just an example of one of the biggest rivers that we have here. I'm telling you this because trying to use the iNaturalist platform is not really difficult. It's quite simple. And then I'm gonna jump to another. Okay, this is it. I mean, we all know that citizen science. Let me know if you're still seeing this. I mean, we all know that citizen science it comes in a very wide array of forms and in many different platforms from across the globe. Is not just for biodiversity, but we are now focusing on biodiversity. iNaturalist is this global network is right now being not just on the United States. This is just a way of showing that many different countries have joined in this platform in the last few years. And all this information that we are bringing together in iNaturalist, how important is this? Well, all this is going to the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, the GBIF, as we know it for short terms. And right now, iNaturalist is one of the most, or is the most important data sets that you will find on GBIF. All this information has been reviewed, has been made sure that scientists from across the globe can use it. So every single record and observations that you bring into iNaturalist, at some point, it will become part of this global effort to document biodiversity across the globe. This is just an example on other platforms like eBird. This is just devoted to birds. I mean, I'm sure you all know this. And this is the leading citizen science effort in the world. And then it comes iNaturalist with more than, here, where's the number? The number is right here. It's more than 15 million records on GBIF now. So everything, it's being created by a global growing community of people. And what I wanted to share, especially since you will be trying to encourage people around your community, is every single piece of information here can be used to publish scientific papers. It's very easy to find all these papers. If you go to the GBIF website, you can find there how many papers have been published there. If you go to Google Scholar and you type iNaturalist and you type the name of your country, wherever you are, you're gonna find papers that already has been published for your country, for your region, and it's already there on iNaturalist. It's on the web. This is one of the best examples that we have, the flora of Russia on iNaturalist. And I think this is one of the greatest examples in how to put together all this big data information and to publish it. I mean, it's starting to grow around the world and how to use this information. But then, before I jump to how to use this platform and to make a quick review on how to use it, what I really want to assure you is all this information can really, really empower people across the planet. This is just one example from Mumbai when they were trying to build, I don't know if the current status of this is a couple of years back. Information about biodiversity in some areas can really influence and you can use it really even on legal courts to appeal or to fight for the preservation of your local rivers or any other ecosystems. This is just one of these kind of examples. But then when you talk about examples on how powerful can citizen science and the use of iNaturalist be, I really like to share my own experience. I mean, it's really easy maybe to talk about what happened in other places in the world, and I use these examples a lot. What you're seeing now, remember the first river I show you, the Santa Catarina River, when we have like a lot of observation and species already recorded. What you're seeing is what we used to have within the riverbed. You can see a lot of blue squares here. That was an illegal market to sell even stolen stuff. And that was within the river bed. We used to have a golf course within the river. Can you imagine that? I mean, having a golf course within a river, I don't think it makes sense to most of you across the globe, but it's sad to say we had here this in our very city. Then a couple of hurricanes prove the people that putting that kind of infrastructure in the river is wrong. So this is one of the hurricanes around here and how it ended up. And right now our river is trying to recover itself. But then at some point, some of our politicians wanted to put a botanical garden, even a museum, again, within the riverbed. They even wanted to set up like a public transportation road within the river again. And they were trying to tell the people that the river was dead, that the river was useless, that the river was just an ugly scar within the city. And using what iNaturalist observation and species have for this particular river, we manages to use this on social media and to let the people know about biodiversity within this river. And at some point, that politician canceled a public consulting that he wanted to use to, again, put all these infrastructure within the river. But I'm telling you this because we're going to participate in this World Bioblitz, and there's going to be a lot of rivers, and I'm sure that you have a lot of issues, problems, troubles, whatever you want to call it, within your own rivers. I mean, I know that you probably are struggling to preserve your rivers and many other ecosystems, but this is just an example of how can this work. Part of this sad story is that, well, some politicians are still fighting to use the riverbed as a highway, or they're trying to build a highway, and we are still fighting so we can bring this down. And it's been hard fight against those politicians and some of the decision makers, where we're really trying hard to preserve our river using biodiversity information provided by iNaturalist. And we are trying to show as many people on our community, in our city, how this is important for all of us. Okay, this being said, I know we have a little time for us to share, and I'm gonna jump then right back at this. Sorry, you still with me? I hope you are. Then, okay, so iNaturalist, the iNaturalist platforms comes in both ways. I mean, we have like cell phone apps just for Android or iOS, and those are really, really easy to use. You won't have any problem using it. We're gonna share a couple of short videos on how to use it, and then we're gonna go through some of these, some of these, how to use iNaturalist. The other and the most powerful way of using iNaturalist is to actually use the web platform, which is iNaturalist.org. Using iNaturalist is just as easy as adding, I'm gonna try to make a quick example on this. You just drag and drop whatever photographs that you have around here. I mean, I'm just trying to show a couple of beautiful butterflies and stuff like that. But here comes the trick. If you start using iNaturalist with your cell phone camera or whatever camera you have, you don't need to be like a professional photographer. You don't need to be with very expensive equipment for photographing. Whatever cell phone you're having or you're using, or whatever camera you have, you can use that. I mean, it's not about the high quality or professional photography, but it's just about trying to take pictures or photos of whatever organisms you have or you came across with. You can see here that I have this butterfly and I have another butterfly. You can see here that this butterfly is actually like in a blurry photograph. This is really helpful. Sometimes you will be amazed on how the global community will help you identify even blurry photographs for you. And we have this banana flower from a point. You can see here that we have already a location. We have already a date. This is important because you will have to tell your community or whoever is participating in this BioBlitz that please turn your cell phone or camera GPS on. And this comes in a very different ways depending on the cell phone brand or model. So make sure you go to your camera settings and turn your location on, GPS, geotag, and whatever other name your cell phone might call it. Because this is important, because every single photo you add, iNaturalist will automatically gather timestamp, date stamp, and the place automatically. In this way, you won't have to worry about adding any other information. And this is also very important because when we are working with BioBlitz projects, those projects will just gather automatically all those observations if they accomplish with the time and the date and the place of the BioBlitz. This is so important. This is why I'm telling you to double check on your cell phone settings and your camera settings about the timestamp and the date and the location. These are very, very important things to take in consideration. The other good news for all of us is that you don't need to know what you're seeing. You don't need to know that this is a butterfly even. You can think that this is a bird even. And people from across the planet will go and help you identify all these observations that you are sharing. You will have support from an incredible community from across the planet, from your very own region or country, to help you identify. This is one of the greatest advantages that iNaturalist have. It has a growing community of people who will help you identify. So what I'm gonna do now is just to send all this on identifier observations. Oh, wait, I forgot. If you do know a little bit or your participants know a little bit, you can always type here banana or bananas, and it will give you a lot of options to actually choose from. Actually, you will get automatic suggestions for what you are seeing here. What? Okay. Yeah, I have public hearing home. And then, but this is just suggestions that you will have around here. You have to be cautious on these automatic suggestions because sometimes it can give you suggestions if you're living maybe on another part of the planet. It will give you suggestions from another continent, another country. So make sure that you are cautious with this. I mean, you can get a lot of different suggestions. This is automatic suggestions based on this kind of images. But then you can just type maybe insects. And you can leave it just like plants. And that's it. You can leave this as an unknown. Some of you pretty much, I'm sure you have, you know this. And this is giving me warning that I have, I'm sending rough identifications like general IDs. So this is okay. I'm gonna go ahead and send all this. I'm gonna delete this later, but I wanted to show you how easy it is just to use this kind of platform. Then okay. Then for you, it will be very important. I mean, you'll probably be sharing all this information with your participants or with your team on the BioBlitz. But then another very important feature for you leading these BioBlitz efforts, you'll be creating a new place for your rivers. Some of our rivers, they're already on iNaturalist. I'm gonna give one of the examples that my city will be participating, and I'm gonna show you, I'm sorry, one of the good things, I forgot to mention this, is that iNaturalist games in many languages. Sorry, I'm gonna try to change this on English because I'm Spanish, Mexico, no, English. Here we are. Okay, now we are English, and you're not gonna see Spanish anymore. I'm gonna show you this particular feature, places. I'm gonna go to places, and I'm gonna try to find one of my rivers. It's Rio La Silla. And I'm gonna search for my river. You're gonna try to do this with your very own river. If your river is already created on iNaturalist, you shouldn't have any more problems. Like here, you will be seeing a specific page for my particular river. This is very, very important because we need to document biodiversity in each river for these BioBlitz. But if you don't have your river on iNaturalist, you will need to create this river. For this, if you're not an experienced user, we're gonna give you some help on this, but I will need you to create your river polygon on KML file so I could put it on iNaturalist for you. Just remember, you can create your polygon on any other GIS program that you want to use or you have used, and I can upload this. Or if you are an experienced user, you can do this by yourself. I'm going to show you later on. But this is important because we're going to create a couple of, we're going to create specific projects for each river, and we're going to help you through this also. So we can put all this information by river all together and then on another single project. We're going to see projects in a few moments later. But then I'm going to show you, oh, sorry. This toolbar is just not helping me here. Okay. I'm going to go to the explore page. You're going to see your river again. Here. You will be able to find your local rivers just typing on the filters, and then you're gonna get all the information automatically for every single river or area or particular area that you wanna search for. This is what we saw earlier. This is how it works. You just type, if you already have like Rio La Silla, we have all those places already created on iNaturalist, and you can see that these rivers, they already have like a baseline information on biodiversity. Let me show you the map. And this is how you will be seeing on your BioBlitz days. If you are working with just part of your river, you probably will want to create like a short, just a short segment for that particular river. But then I will really encourage you that try to draw the biggest picture for your river. This will really help you in the future when you continue to monitor or people continue to take pictures on iNaturalist in the future. So make sure that you try to set up your whole river within iNaturalist. And I'm gonna show you a close detail. Remember when I told you not to focus just on your the riverbed? I mean, right here we are trying to encompass the whole river, the riverbed, and in a small buffer zone to the adjacent urban area, because sometimes when, even if you are getting photographs within the center of the river, sometimes your GPS on the cell phone or the camera can mess up a little bit, and sometimes those observations will be appearing outside the river area. So make sure, if you are drawing a polygon, we actually draw this by hand, make sure you have a small buffer zone around the river. This is a very, very urban river that we have in our city, and you can see how the polygon encompasses not just the river, but a little bit outside the riverbed. You can always change this, and this is just an example of how your river polygon can be seen around here. As you can see, there are a lot of observations around some areas on this river. All this can be just automatically added here. Okay, any questions so far? Let me try and check how are we doing. Jens, do we have any questions? Or Vera, can you let me know if we have questions, comments?
There's a question now from Jess, but also I would like to point out, remember we talked about this, like it's not necessary during the activity to upload the images immediately. If people don't have, like, you told me once that maybe you could explain that a bit so people don't get stressed on like, oh, we have to upload everything. There could be a moment for that.
Yes, yes, I'm so glad you remember that. For the BioBlitz, it's really important for all of us to just focus on try to find as many species as we can, or as many observations as we can. You won't need to add those observations on the very day of the BioBlitz. You can have another, I'm not sure, 24 hours, 48 hours we're gonna give, or how much, yes, are we spending?
I think we may give like 12 to 24 hours more the next day, so the project is still running. Next day you can upload the photos and they will still be part of the project.
Yes, yes, so you will have extra time to upload all those pictures, and you won't need to add those pictures to any project. The project will do that for you automatically, as long as they have the time and the place correct on those observations. That's why it's very important, again, to get them right on your cell phone or your camera. Yeah.
There are two questions in the chat if you want to answer them now, Carlos.
Sorry, I'm not seeing the chat right now.
Yeah,
I can also ask. I was just
so
gonna
there's
say.
one.
Oh, I was Carlos. I was wondering, does it ever happen where, I don't know, does it? Maybe it's a stupid question, because I was just thinking of the dead animal thing. If someone saw a dead fish during the BioBlitz and they go by and take a photo, and then someone else goes by and takes the same photo, does that mess with? Is that a big deal, or does that happen very often?
No, it's not a big deal. I mean, having like duplicate observations is not a problem. iNaturalist is your encounter with nature. So another people might have the same encounter with nature. Remember that we are in pretty much around the world, we're having these COVID situations. So we're not trying to encourage large amount of people. You can go solo on your BioBlitz. You can like have separate groups to do these activities. We don't want you to break any lockdowns or any social distancing measure that it's going to be running on your country, on your city. So make sure that you are always safe. And iNaturalist is not quite about, if I took a picture of one wildflower, of a butterfly, nobody else can do that. Yes, they can. I mean, they can join you, and you can actually call other people to share that observation so they can have that observations. Remember this, again, I'm gonna, my observations. Let me show you this. if you find this kind of beautiful butterfly in front of you and your partner, your friend is seeing that too, he's totally allowed to take the same picture of the same species. iNaturalist is really good for biodiversity recording. iNaturalist right now it is not the best like for densities researchers and people who are actually counting species, because they have sometimes duplicate observations on certain organisms. But yes, I mean, it's allowed to take pictures from the same organisms by different persons. That's totally allowed the day of the BioBlitz.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. I also had a different question, just technical about the website. You said don't accidentally type in a species if from the suggestions, because sometimes it gives suggestions in a different continent. Is it a big deal if someone in your group thinks they know the species and you put that in exactly which species you think it is and then you upload it? Or will the community fix your observation if it's wrong?
No, it's always okay, any of those. I mean, if you have the proper knowledge and you know the scientific name for let's say this kind of wildflower, you can just type the correct name. And then here comes, this is very important. Like for this wildflower, I knew the scientific name here. And you can see right here that it says research grade observation. What it means to have like a research grade observations, when the community agrees with you, you can see that I have this other user here, which is another fellow botanist from Mexico. He agrees with what I say here. When I get this 2/3 of agreements for any particular observations, it will reach what we call research grade observations. Every single observation starts as casual observations, but then when you hit the research grade observations, it can be used for places like GBIF. And this is what really matters for researchers and policymakers, and if you're gathering more scientific information on biodiversity. This is just one example, and we can talk a bit more, and we can discuss this maybe later on. And it might take some time to get that, and sometimes you will get a lot of discussion on whether it's a species or not. Let me give you just one. Let me give you, no, insularis. Just one quick example on how much can sometimes people argue on whether it is or not a certain species. I found this particular dragonfly north of my city, and I started with this species. I'm not a dragonfly expert, but then I want to show you how long can people go arguing about whether it's not. Yes, it is. Sometimes they start like very simple conversations. Sometimes it get very technical, and these guys, let me go a little bit. They call for help. They call for Brian G. Then they call for Greg Lasley, and you can even here is Scott Laurie. Scott Laurie is one of the co-creators of iNaturalist, so he's one of the tops in terms of who iNaturalist is, and he's very participative in this kind of matters. But then in the end, he's Martin Reed, up Martin. He's one of the top dragonfly experts in the world, and then he gets very technical on this kind of discussions, and in the end this just going down, and there's a lot of discussions in this kind of then this is just a research grade.
May I do a little comment on this part, Carlos?
Yeah.
Concerning Jess' question, I think it's also important to highlight that, of course, we encourage observations, but we also encourage to go out with biodiversity experts. That means people that know about plants, people that know about birds, about invertebrates in the river. So you also, during the field experience, understand and also can identify with these people, the species. So you yourself learn about the ecology of the river and the riparian area of the river. For example, in my case, I'm going with a bird expert, a plant expert, and an invertebrate expert. So in that sense, we are going to be around 20 people, and we're going to not only document, but also share about like what's actually happening in the river during the whole experience. And we encourage you also for that. Like, data is important, but also the empowerment and understanding of these species that are in the river. So to have that in mind, and also something we think when we go to the field normally, and that may be useful for you. This is very nerd, but we think about Pokemon. So you go and like you are identifying like all these species, and iNaturalist feels like this online community that's like the Pokédex. I don't know, many of you may know, many know, but it's a way also to relate about to this biodiversity in an exciting way. But yeah, we encourage you to document biodiversity, but also in the field activity, understand what are you actually looking to.
Yes.
And also there is a question of Chloe. She asked about the polygons.
Yeah. Can you read them?
Maybe I read. So who creates the polygon, decided how wide the river is and what part of the river?
Well, so far you have total freedom to do this. If you are creating a new polygon, and I mean, you know your river best than anyone else, so you can make that decision. I mean, it's not like a fixed rule for anyone in the world to actually have this proper limit. If you have like government limits for those rivers and you want to use those, that's totally fine. But as far as I know, at least the case here in Mexico is pretty much all the rivers have no official boundaries. So this can be a little tricky for all of us in terms of deciding how long, how wide is our river. So as far as I know, you have total freedom. If you want to use like just part of your river, that's okay. I mean, this is just an exercise that we want to join, and there's no official rule for creating those polygons. But if you can, or you are able to create like a whole river, or at least part of a river, that's okay. I hope that helps, Chloe.
Can I just quickly add to that? Because I think the reason we're doing those polygons is to also make sure that we can really collect this as a project, so that we can actually have all the observations worldwide on that day collected. So just mainly think about where you're going to go on that day and make sure that's part of your polygon. So what you think is part of your river, indeed, you can add, and like make sure that all the observations done on that day will be collected by it.
Yep.
Which leads to maybe the next question. I'm going to try to go through them quickly because we need some time for the places also,
yeah.
right? Because he asked, with this group as a facilitator, do I have to collect all the photos taken by the participants and upload them to our iNaturalist, or should each participant download the app? And I think I can answer that. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but like the more people use the app, the cooler it is in a sense, because we'll get more people using it, so more official participants. Plus, I think it's just cool if more people use it once, because they might be using it more times, right?
Yes.
So ideally, the more people have the app, the cooler. But if it's like, if some people just come download it, obviously you can also just add observations, right?
Yes, you're totally right, Vera. Encourage people to use the iNaturalist app. Don't collect their photos and don't upload it for them, because this is what we want. We want to encourage people to keep on documenting biodiversity across the globe. Just a quick note before we jump to the how to create projects and how to create polygons. You're not alone on identifying organisms. These single users have 500,000 identifications on the web platform. And from down there, everyone, like all these people, are helping identify observations across the planet. Just keep this in mind. You have a lot of backup to get ideas on iNaturalist. Let's go back to places. If you don't find your place, you can create and add new places. This is quite easy, really quite easy. You can just go there, a new river, Mexico. You can add the proper name to your river. You can add, if my river is in my state, this is the parent name for this place I am creating. And here comes the fun part. If you have like this KML file, you can just select that file and just upload it. So you got an easy way to get the boundaries of your river. If it's asking you what type or what kind of place is this, you can just select from many different, pretty much is a river is an open space. And you want to make sure you check on this little box here, because it will collect all your species and create a checklist of the species for that particular place. If you don't have this KML file, you can always draw your polygon. Let me show you how to do that, because it's really easy to draw polygons around here. Let's say this is a small river near where I live, and I just go draw a polygon here, and I just start drawing small polygon. I can zoom in pretty much. You do a lot of I'm doing this very roughly, so we can just take a look on how this works very quickly. This is just in case you don't have like another file. This is also a small polygon here, and this is it. I mean, you just go all the way back to where you're starting and do a click, and you can create like this kind of polygons. You can edit them later.
And there's a question about this from Nina, whether the polygon length can be changed once it's drawn.
Yes, you can. Don't worry if you make as many mistakes as you want. On iNaturalist, you can always edit, you can always change. If you saw that you made a mistake here, there's a small edit layer, or in here. Okay, and there you go. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and again, I'm gonna just move this point. I'm gonna move another one, and I'm gonna add a new. If I click on this one, I'm gonna add another one, so I can draw on. I can move it. I can move it again. So you can, yes, you can even delete this kind of polygon. I'm gonna save, but then I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna delete, save. Please delete it. Oh, here. Oh, then save. There. I just click on the feature I wanted to delete, and then just save. Okay. And just cancel that. But again, delete, click, save. Should work. Or it's not working. Oh, because why is not deleting this? Not sure why it's not saving this delete feature. It still shows.
So normally this is easy, right, guys?
Yeah, it's easy. Just take some practice. and sometimes to do it. This is why I recommend to work first on maybe any other GIS system or platform that you want to use. But then you can edit or replace all these boundaries later on.
Francie just made a very good question. She says when she wants to create this polygon, it tells her it must have at least 50 verifiable observations to do that.
That's the only trick. You need to level up a little bit as an iNaturalist user. So before the BioBlitz, and if you are leading the BioBlitz, I really encourage you to take at least those 50 observations on your account. I mean, you're leading, so people need to see that you have like at least a couple of good observations in there. Yes, to create new places, you will have to have those 50 observations first. If you don't have right now the time to do those observations, and if you need help, here I am. I can help you create that polygon. If you want to do it later, I can later delete the polygon I created because there comes authorship. The place you created, it will show you place created by Jens or created by Vera or created by whatever people in the world. So try to make an effort and do those observations and then create that polygon. But if you really feel that, okay, I need some help, just let us know and we can help you create your own polygon. Is that okay? Okay. What happens when you create this new place? I'm gonna save this.
Just a quick question in between before you forget it. There's a question: when you draw a polygon, does iNaturalist immediately recognize the datum and projection of the location? I'm assuming so, right?
Yes. I mean, iNaturalist manages the whole planet, and yes, I mean, if you create a polygon in the other side of the wall, I'm still be able to see this. When I create this, you can see that it's already a particular place for every single place. In some time, it will create and it gather all these observations that you can already have here. Why is important to have these places created? Because we're going to create a project for our BioBlitz. Creating a project for our BioBlitz, it's really quite simple. We're going to start a new project right in here in the project community. Then you go to projects, and we're going to create one of this. We have umbrella projects, which is projects for projects, and the collection project that we're going to set for our BioBlitz. Remember, collection project. And we're going to get started. Creating a project is really quite simple. You just have to add a name. New River Bioblitz, Mexico, 2000. You can add your the name, whatever you want to call it. Probably your river name will be on it. You can add like an icon project. You can add like a banner project. So people really works on this. Then you just gathering new observations for River Bioblitz. Make sure you have like this project type marked on collection. This is the default one, collection project. Then the requirements. This is very important because this will make the project work for you. You don't need to select any particular taxa unless you just wanna maybe birds. You can select birds, but since we're doing a BioBlitz for every single living organism, just leave it blank. Then remember this little place we created a moment ago? It shows right here. There are a lot of names that brings New River, George National River, New River Plateau, New Wood River, Lower Santa Fe, New Mexico. So make sure you remember the name of your place when you're creating. So we're gonna, this is the most important feature or requirement for your project, the place. We're not gonna limit to certain user. We're gonna leave this blank and blank for taxa. You don't need to add anything here. Remember, the most important is to add the proper place, which will be your particular river. You're not gonna work on exclusion filters. You're not gonna check on members only. You're not gonna work with any kind of annotation. Here with data quality, you can just check all of this. Make sure you leave the media type of any, because you can record sounds with your Android cell phones. This is very important, so just leave any. And if you want to exclude introduced species, which I think we won't be needing that, just leave also any. Then the second part is we're gonna have like a period of time to observe our bioblitz and to do our bioblitz. So we're gonna need the exact date maybe. If you're creating a bioblitz, let's go to September. And here we are. We can select any particular or specific day for our bioblitz. And it will start at midnight and it will end at midnight. Sometimes some bioblitz are done on a certain period of time, like a couple of days. So we can select probably like September 1st to Friday 4. We can just also delete the time. If we delete this time and we just leave the date, this is more helpful. You see here that you can work with several days along this. So for this particular bioblitz, we're gonna live with just the exact date that we wanna do our bioblitz. So this is the most important. Make sure you mark the date correctly, because every single observations people do within the polygon within that day will be automatically included in the bioblitz project. I'm gonna let you can add other users as administrators. You can look for Vera, you can look for James, you can look for, if you want me to help you, you can add my username, Aztecium_tutor, and I can help you to check on your projects if you want to. Then you can just remove me and kick me off, don't worry. So I'm gonna be done with here. And when you have your project, it will look like this. It will give you, okay, it's gonna start in 20 days, 19 days. It's gonna show how it look the place, and the requirements is all taxa, New River, Mexico, any users, any projects, any quality grade, any media type, specific date. This is the most important in this one. Any questions?
I do have a question myself.
Yep.
Is everyone supposed to make their own project, and are we gonna collect those projects together then, or is it possible to make a global project?
What I recommend for this bioblitz is every river to have their own project. Then we can collect all those projects. Let me show you. Under a single umbrella project.
Right.
And how does that look? Let me take the most important umbrella project that we have in the world, which is the City Nature Challenge project. This is an umbrella project that gathers cities from around the world, and you will see something like this with all the rivers for the Bioblitz. Just hold on. Come on. Don't let me make. Okay, here we are. Every single one of this is a collection project for a specific city in the world. So you can see which project has the most observations, the most species numbers, who has the more number of participants. Then you can go through different tabs to see which was the most observed species, who is the guy who's doing most identifications, who in the world is doing most observations. But this is an umbrella project for specific collection projects like the one we are creating for the River Bioblitz. Is that okay?
That's perfect. So that will mean we'll have to collect all your project names later. Super cool. This quite shows how it could potentially be a competition. I know Carlos is getting quite excited about his own Bioblitz in Mexico. But we also like to emphasize that it's not necessarily about a competition, right? It's really more about engaging with nature, going out, being next to the river. And it's super dependent, again, on like your local COVID situation, yes. If you can go out with just your own family, or if you can actually say, I think Jens is also getting really some specialists together. I think he's getting even a bit in competition mode. Ellie next to me is now adding observations, so she's going to get to the 50.
I'm at 11.
Yeah, you're on the way. You're on the right way.
Yeah, Carlos, thanks a lot for all those details and like technicalities of iNaturalist. I think it quite well shows that it's a tool that can be really helpful, and it can really like link all those different observations globally. And it's going to be a cool way also to check what other people did. So I've been on my river, did different species also occur on different rivers worldwide. And so that's pretty exciting that we can use this as a tool. Let's have a moment for some more questions and answers. And I think there was one very much at the beginning of this session already. I'm not remembering who asked it, but the question was like, imagine you would hear a bird and you know it's there. So you're actually knowing that this species is there. Can you add that in any way?
You know, are you seeing my face now? No?
Yes. Maybe if you stop sharing, we'll see it bigger.
Okay. Let me show. If you have an Android cell phone, you can share a video. You can actually, on your Android cell phone, you can record sounds on your cell phone, at least only on Android. Any Android cell phone with the iNaturalist app, you can record any sound. So you can record insects, amphibians like frogs or toads, and any birds. So this is another advantages of the app, at least on the Android side. So you can record them.
Super cool. And now if you can't record it, you can't take a photo, then it's like out of capacity of iNaturalist, right?
Yes, I mean,
proud of having it.
If you're maybe in some remote river and you see, I don't know, a jaguar or any significant outstanding record, I mean, we have beavers, American beavers in one of our rivers. Sometimes those are tricky to get pictures of. You can upload the record without any media or like any photo or sound, to just let the people know that it's there, but it won't reach research grade level. That's the only tricky part.
Makes sense.
But if you see like a track or maybe an animal poop or a dead animal, you can upload that. So that's okay.
Yes. Also, Nina had a previous question. I will encourage you now, if you want to make some questions, maybe you can turn on your video and speak in the microphone. But first with Nina's question, she says, if the weather forecast in the country is barred for the chosen day for the 20th of September, if it's possible to postpone the BioBlitz. I think that's kind of difficult because, like Carlos said, we're gonna have this day for the projects, and also maybe we add like 12 or 24 hours for the uploading of images. So maybe if you wanna go the next day, it will be a possibility, but then like it's hard because then we will be shifting all BioBlitzes and we actually need a date. So I would say maybe next day if you wanna go, 12 hours. Or then I think it will be only be canceled and maybe next time.
Yes,
jacket.
What I can say is that we had BioBlitzes even in winter during rainy days and very, very bad weather. There's always something to see. I mean, small wildflowers, maybe you're gonna find amphibians, you're gonna find maybe like dormant insects. Sometimes you get, if you have like heavy rains, you can find a lot of mushrooms around. There's always something to see, whatever you are looking for. Maybe you are really with birds, but sometimes the weather doesn't help you, and you can just switch to other groups and try to have like a more open mind on what you're going to document. Even if you have like, if you have like a hurricane or anything like that, will just stay at home. But if it's like a little rainy, you can just go outside and take a look at what you can find.
Yeah, in that sense, it's impressive because when you go out and you are really looking into nature, then you realize that you won't go further than 2 steps and you will find like 10 different species of plants, maybe an insect, maybe a bird that's there, and maybe a mushroom, maybe a moss species, and then you seeing actually how much there is outside. And maybe some of you already know that, but for the people that are not biologists, sometimes it's hard to imagine like how many creatures you can find in 1 square meter. It's impressive. So you always will find something. And Bikram asked why the 20th of September only. And well, this is basically a pilot. So we are trying to do it as simple as possible. So we understand how this could work or what could be improved next year if we're gonna do it again, which I believe we're gonna do. So now we're seeing that it may be possible to extend the time, but for now we believe it's okay to do it in 1 day, even if we don't get as many, as long as people are participating and engaged and raising awareness about their own rivers ecosystems, we believe it's gonna be successful in the sense that it's about collaboration. Any other question?
Maybe cool to talk a little about indeed what's happened after the 20th. So like it's cool if people are doing it on the 20th so that afterwards we have the same time that we're working on it. So indeed you're going out on the 20th, you're doing the observations, and then during the week you'll have time to actually get your identifications with the help of the global community. Ellie was just trying it here and there's just observations popping up and identifications because people are really looking at it. So during the week you'll be kind of learning what you saw on the Sunday. And we ask you to do that kind of before the Friday, so the 25th. So we have a bit of time over the weekend to pick out the really cool observations and to kind of make a story about it so that on Monday we get together in the evening, same time as today. So on the 28th to kind of go through different observations and to have a kind of recap of the whole day. And I think that's a cool moment where we can really discuss a bit. So it would be cool if the identifications are done before that date also so that we can come together. So the BioBlitz is 1 day, but the river projects can continue and people can keep adding jobs to them, right? Yes.
Yes, once you have your river polygon, it will stay there forever and it will continue to collect every single data people are still adding in the years to come. Yep.
Right. Hi, Vera, Jens, and Carlos. And I've come across a concern from a fellow iNaturalist user and anticipated for the actual event itself. How does the app deter illegal wildlife traders, poachers from accessing the location-based ID?
That's the most common questions that researchers and professionals came across. For any protected species, with you have have a national red list for any particular country. Very quick. I'm gonna share again my screen. Sorry, because I want to show you at species level. They have geoprivacy levels. For non-protected species is like public geoprivacy, and anybody can see the locations. When we have, come on. When we have protected species, every single observations for any protected species goes on what it's called obscure locations. Obscure locations means that for any species, it will create a random new coordinate to show on the map, and you will see a big square from 0.2 to 0.2 degrees. If I'm like, for us here, it's the black bear, it's a protected species. If it says like it's endangered, then I'm gonna go very fast. Come on. So if you're working like, I don't know, any protected snake or any protected bird, or maybe a protected orchid that you find in your river, people won't be able to see that because the system will automatically obscure those coordinates. You see here those little dots. This is one of mine, so I know. Oh, this is mine. Okay, yeah. Let's see this kind of this particular observations for an endangered species here, and then there you go. I mean, this big blue square here generates a random locations within it, hiding the actual location for that particular individual and that particular observations. In extreme cases, you can select to have a private location, which means nobody else in the world but you will be able to see this kind of information. For endangered species, just curators and site managers will be able to see those. You can I can share you a little bit more on information on who can see and who cannot see this kind of obscure observations, but this is the safeguard that iNaturalist is using right now to protect endangered or threatened species. Does that make sense? It works for you? What I can say is that illegal trade, at least here in Mexico, it's a heavy problem, yes, but poachers and illegal traders, they do know where the species are, and people, local communities, they rarely know that they do have endangered or protected species. So it's kind of a balance. If you're informing people that we have protected species within a river, we just found American beaver, Castor canadensis, in one of the river, and we want people to know that is there so they can take care of that. We have the risk that people maybe want to go there and maybe to hunt for it, yes, but if the more people want to take care of that, maybe we can save those species and those individuals. I know it's cool. Sometimes controversial.
Sweet. It's almost 7:30. I hope like all questions are answered quite well. If any questions remain, definitely feel free to get in touch with us. You have Carlos' email directly, also me and Jens. So feel free. We have a few last comments to make. One of them being, like I uploaded all the events to the map on homeriverbioblitz.org. So like, please have a look if your event is correct, especially if you wanted to have people registering through a link. Quite a lot of them I didn't receive yet, so send that link to me and I'll make sure it's in the map correct. For this moment, it would be really cool if everyone could just turn on their cameras for a moment. Yay! Because we're doing a few things as a kind of social media stuff afterwards.
Wow.
And one of them will be a video made by Mitya. And we definitely want to show that it's a global event and people from all around the world are tuning in. So this is a cool moment, actually, if all of us can just wave at the camera for a moment.
Yeah, don't be shy, say hello to everyone.
Hello.
This is a world community now.
Right.
Let's be happy and proud of it.
Yeah, Jens, do you want to say a few more words about the video?
Oh, yeah. About the video, we're going to have a little video of 1 minute for social media. And I know you will be like outside doing your stuff, enjoying the river. But if you have time, even with your cell phone, to do a little shot, like horizontal shot of the surroundings, so we know where you were actually, because many of your rivers are unknown to us and we would love to see them. And also we may use this for the video, and also maybe 2 to 3 shots of people like hello from, I don't know, for example, Vera is gonna be in Ötztal in the Ötz River in Austria, and she also takes a selfie of herself, or maybe somebody records that. So we know that, like Carlos said, we are an online community, a worldwide community that is working for river conservation and protection. So people know that actually stuff is happening all around the world for river conservation right now.
Yeah. I also just want to quickly introduce Cara. She's sitting there in Berlin, I'm assuming, right? And she's gonna like use all the observations a bit to make a story map, right? So that story map is definitely going to be a bit about the observations, so all the species happening in different places, but also your stories, right? So if you've got a specific reason that you're organizing this BioBlitz, feel free to send her a message or send me a message, and like we're going to try to make this a cool map that shows a bit the motivation also behind doing BioBlitzes worldwide and showing that it's a global community that cares for rivers. For instance, the one we're doing in Ötztal, they're at this moment building a dam at the river. So this stretch of river that we're gonna assess at this moment is probably gonna be lost quite soon. So this can be an extra tool. So all those kind of stories can be there. So if you have a story that you want to share, feel free to share it with us. And that's actually all I have.
Yeah,
I had one.
Yes, you go, and then I wrap up everything,
Okay.
and we are done.
I just, along with all those photos you're gonna take and writing that thing, if you also want to send me a photo and that exact description that you're gonna send Cara to me, then we have like a Twitter and on the Facebook group, just so I can share your personal events with the community. And yeah, I think it's cool for people to see and get excited at all the different places where BioBlitzes will be. So for example, today I posted this one on Twitter. It's of Dimi, and he wrote why he's doing a BioBlitz on the Vodomatis River, and I put a photo of him floating down the river. So you can email me a photo of your river and why you want to do a BioBlitz on your river. I'm writing my email here now. Okay, Jens.
Yeah, maybe
Yes.
Cara, say a few words so we all know who you are.
Because otherwise you can't see my face. Yeah, so I guess I can also grab the pictures from Jess. And I would just say that it would actually be nice to have it all in sort of one sort of format. So I'm wondering if we can talk about that just later, but I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, girls. Just to wrap up the session, like Providence said, be careful with the COVID situation. We don't want to encourage more than the people that are allowed per country. So please follow those guidelines. And also, just to remember, I will send you during next week this survey. So if you can share it with your participants before and after, I would really appreciate that. I will send you more information about that. And also a very brief comment on collaboration. Like, we are looking forward to collaboration opportunities between watersheds and people here. This is not only the Home River Bioblitz, this is about like collaborating and raising awareness about the rivers. Like Carlos and Vera said, this is a really nice opportunity if you have a threat on your river, if you have any reason to fight for the health of that river, against a dam project, pollution, highways, or anything. This may also help that, and we are willing also to raise awareness about that river. So in that sense, social media can become a really powerful tool to talk about these issues in your rivers. So the same that Vera and Cara said, if you have any story you want to tell, please feel free to share that with us so we may highlight this. And also, just to let you know, we are going to do a National Geographic Explorer meetup for the people that are here and European explorers. That is going to be the 21st of September, and it's going to be full of European National Geographic explorers, because it's an activity we aim it for that. But all of you are invited to be part of this, and also you will learn more about how to be an Nat Geo explorer, how to get a grant for your projects, or any possible idea you have. So that may also be an interesting collaboration opportunity if you are interested in that. And as final words, I really thank you for your time. I know for some of you, who was in Novita is in Jakarta. It's really late. For others, it's really early. But I really thank you for you to be here, to be excited about this project as much as we are. And also, please remember, it look a bit hard, but I think it's more than anything, it's just going out, have fun with your friends, document biodiversity, and understand your local species, your neighborhood. Remember that. I think that's about this, like understanding your local river and really get attached to it. So, thank you a lot.
Thank you all. Really cool. And enjoy the day.
Or the night.
And the night, also this night.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for all.
Thank you.
Adiós, amigos.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Adiós.
Okay, great.